Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
Seeking natural solutions for your health and wellness? Look no further than Garden Root Remedy. We offer handcrafted herbal tinctures, salves, teas, and more made with only the highest quality organic herbs. We provide personalized consultations to help you find the perfect herbal remedy for your specific needs. Experience the power of nature's healing touch. Visit Garden Root Remedy online at gardenrootremedy.com. That's gardenrootremedy.com. Rooted in nature, blooming with wellness.
Attention, you're listening to the Todd Huff Radio Show, America's home for conservative, not bitter talk radio. Be advised that the content of this program has been documented to prevent and even cure liberalism, and listening may cause you to lean to the right. Here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
My friends, what we are fighting out there today is not just an opposite side, an opposing side in politics. We are fighting at this particular point in time. People who have lost their minds, people who are defending domestic terrorism. Listen, I understand that not everybody who opposes Trump, Republicans, the Make America Great Again agenda, they're not out there doing this. But this is becoming a common theme. This is becoming something that the left is embracing right there for all of us to see. Anyone who has eyes to see what's going on here can obviously see what's going on. These folks are completely willing to do anything to defend their morally bankrupt worldview and ideology. And I say this to those of you who have voted Democrat. Maybe you held your nose. Maybe you know exactly what I'm talking about here. Maybe you haven't seen this yet, but you've seen the turn the Democrat Party has made over the past many decades from being a party of ideas that were different from Republican ideas, going from a party who, back in the 60s, JFK's party, you went from something like that, your party did, and now you've got a party that's defending Hamas, you've got a party that's defending Tren de Aragua, deportations of violent criminal aliens. You've got people who are defending and, yes, even cheering for domestic terrorism against Tesla. And there's a lot that goes into this, and we're going to talk about that a little bit this morning, my friends. But I want to say this to you. If you're one of these folks, you voted Democrat, listen, I think it was a bad vote. Let me tell you, I think it's been a bad vote for a long time. But I am here with an olive branch to you. If you can see that what's happening with these cheers for domestic terrorism against Tesla, if you can see that the Trump derangement syndrome and the Elon derangement syndrome is a bad thing, if you can see clearly, or at least are open to the idea, the possibility that what has happened in this administration is already dramatically better than what we were subjected to previously when it comes to Americans' safety, when it comes to the economy, when it comes to the way that these things that are happening, domestic terrorism and violence, is actively being cheered on by some of these folks on the left. I extend to you an olive branch. You have more in common with me. If you are a union Democrat, a blue dog Democrat, a single issue Democrat voter, you have much more in common with me than you have with the people that are trying to blow up Teslas. That cannot be tolerated. I don't care who does it, my friends. I don't care what they're out there fighting for ideologically. That, you want to know what fascist behavior is, what the behavior that should be roundly rejected here by all Americans? It's this sort of stuff, and it's on display for anybody who wants to see it. We're going to talk about that today, lay a little bit of background as well for all this anger and violence and rage that exists. And we're going to get there in due course. But before I get rocking and rolling here, my friends, let me ask you, if you are in sales, I didn't say that, sales. Why did I say sales? If you're in sales, are you where you want to be? Whether you're struggling to close deals or you just want to sharpen your skills, Matt Easton and Easton University can help you. And Matt and his team have created a training program that involves coaching. There's 2 coaching calls a week. There is online training materials, and it is very, very well done. I've taken many of the courses as we've been implementing that here, as we've done with our sales team, and it's some of the best stuff I have ever seen. I think if you're in sales, you should do yourself a favor and get involved with Easton University. This isn't just a cookie cutter training. He's there to do coaching twice a week, and if you follow his system, it will pay off. I'm telling you, it will pay off for you, but you have to take the first step. So go to toddhuffshow.com/sales. No, don't do that. That's the wrong one. I had an old website address. Here's the one you go to. Ignore what I just said. toddhuffshow.com/Easton. EASTON. toddhuffshow.com/Easton. And you can take advantage of Matt's program, become a student. And if you do that, as a listener of this program, if you become a student, Matt's going to jump on you on a one-on-one call with you and help you kind of get going, figure out where your main priorities should be, get an idea of what you're struggling with, where you need improvement, whether it's for yourself or your sales team. Matt will help you. I've talked with Matt personally many times. He knows what he's doing. He's a great resource. toddhuffshow.com/Easton. That's EASTON, toddhuffshow.com/Easton. Take that first step today. All right. So I want to play this first, and we're going to go back and lay a little bit of the groundwork as to how we got here, how we got to this point where people who are in the audience of The Daily Show are literally cheering. I am not exaggerating. I'm not using hyperbole. I am telling you, as a matter of fact, you will hear it on this clip. They are cheering, applauding the domestic terrorism that has taken place at Tesla dealerships. Folks, there is now reportedly, I've not been able to find it yet, but apparently there is a website that's designed to publicly dox people who own Teslas. I saw a video yesterday. This is not in the stack of stuff. This is gross and disgusting. I saw a guy. I don't even like to say the words I'm about to say, but I saw a video of, listen, I use the word man loosely here because this is not something a grown man would do, but this guy, it's on video, walks up to a Tesla, starts putting his hands down his pants on the backside and wiping feces, what appears to be feces on Teslas around the door handle. This is considered admirable to the left. And I was raised in a Union Democrat family. I am a conservative. I am a conservative who loves the Constitution. I'm a limited government guy. We talk about these issues on this program on a regular basis. I don't want to get into every detail about what that means right at this moment in time. I'm not a Democrat. But I know, hear me say this, because you won't hear this from a lot of people. I know that there are some of you who are Democrats in the rank and file. You're a Union Democrat. Your family's just voted Democrat. You're not on board with this stuff. This stuff here, cheering for domestic terrorism, wiping feces on cars, engaging in riots, threatening the lives of people in the administration. I mean, Elon Musk he knows his life's in danger. Trump, of course, they've tried to kill President Trump already a couple of times. Once they struck his ear with a bullet. And you're not on board with this. You have, maybe you voted Democrat because, again, it's a single issue. Maybe you're pro-choice. Listen, I think pro-choice is completely wrong. I'm pro-life, but you're not out here completely leftist. You're not out here trying to destroy companies, endanger people's lives on the streets, destroying cars and all this sort of stuff. You know that this is wrong. And I'm speaking to you because you don't have to agree with everything Republicans are doing to realize that this is a cancer. The people who are doing this, the people who are empowering this, the people who are excusing this, the people who are even inspiring this, whether they be in Washington, D.C. or sitting behind a camera, some leftist with a television show that's got humor designed for, teenagers at best, like the Daily Show here. I watched a clip from Jon Stewart, who I know he's not Daily Show now. I don't know what he's doing now. But the humor he uses, it is remarkable. I think as I was watching him deliver a joke or content, I thought he's speaking to people who have the mindset of 14-year-old boys. And I was just thinking from my perspective, as I approach this microphone, even if there are and I know there's some teenagers that listen to this program, even when I speak to a teenager, I don't speak to you like he speaks to his audience. These folks are immature in every conceivable way. And dare I say, these things are not a straight mental illness. I'm not saying there's no mental illness in America, but this, my friends, is a condition of the heart. This is a rejection of what is good and what is true and what is virtuous. They have rejected these things for so long, they have been handed over to a depraved mind. That is what is happening right before our very eyes. This, my friends, I'm telling you, is a spiritual problem. This is a problem of the heart. This is not because someone's mental capacities are not working properly like Joe Biden's weren't. This is because they have fed garbage to their heart for so long, they've lost the ability to think rationally, to hold themselves accountable, to realize that they are adults and they should be acting in certain ways. They can oppose Trump. Oppose Trump. I'm not even asking for people to vote for Trump. You can't vote for Trump now. The last time you could have voted for him was back in November. You can oppose him, but oppose him for legitimate reasons. Do not be opposing him and inspiring and motivating acts of domestic terrorism. Don't believe me? I don't even know this clown's name on the Daily Show. In fact, he was so, I don't know if he's uncomfortable or if it was, just his attempt to connect with his audience at the end. I have no idea. But at the end of this, he's going to play, this is a 39-second clip, and he's playing for his audience clips from the television news, different news outlets, NBC, whatever it is, reporting on fires being set on Tesla vehicles. And you will hear the crowd cheering and applauding. It's not something I've got to turn this mic up, turn the audio levels up for you to hear. You will hear it. In fact, you will hear this guy sitting at the desk. I don't even know this guy's name. They're all the same. It doesn't matter to me. This guy looks at his audience and says, man, you're really cheering. I'm paraphrasing here, but you guys are really cheering for some domestic terrorism. And I don't know if he was just caught off guard. I don't know what was going on here. He didn't realize there were going to be cheers for this stuff, but this is considered good. This is a form, hear me say this, if you set fires to Teslas today, and do not do this, I know I don't have to say this to you, but since I've got a microphone and since crazy people exist out there in the world, I want to make it clear that that's obviously not the way to deal with this if you're on the other side of the political aisle. But this is what people are doing, and it's considered virtuous in leftist circles. Their minds are so corrupted. And I think this is important to understand. They have rejected, the radical left has rejected what is true, what is good. And I'm going to dig into this a little bit today. I'm going to talk about where the source of their anger begins, where the source of entitlement begins, where their inability to accept the reality that they are first and foremost responsible for themselves, that no one else is responsible for them simply because they earn more money. They can't demand and make demands that someone else provide for them things that they want because someone else has more wealth than they do. And they've so listened to this cancerous way of looking at life, this sense of entitlement, this sense of anger and rage at someone else for not giving them what they want. They've been coddled by politicians. They've been basically just enabled by politicians who continually join in the chorus. In fact, stirring the metaphorical pot here to get people enraged at millionaires and billionaires as though they are the problem for things that are happening in our country, when in reality, those who are responsible are the ones that are cheering here, the ones that are committing these acts, allegedly, of domestic terrorism against Tesla, doxing and now, reportedly, owners of Teslas, trying to intimidate. That's what this is. You know, terrorism, the definition of terrorism, we go through this, is trying to use violence or intimidation, threats of violence to achieve a political ends. And if you're trying to get people to take a political action, if you're trying to target people who have bought a car, who now that car is owned by a guy, a company, the car was made by a company that's owned by a guy. This is so just crazy, the thinking of the radical left here. But now because Elon Musk is cutting programs, recommending the programs be cut to the president through DOGE, people think they're justified to lash out at him. People think, I'm telling you right now, people think that those who are opposing Elon Musk are the modern day equivalent of Rosa Parks, of Martin Luther King Jr. I'm telling you this is the truth. They believe that they have a chance to make their lives worthwhile and to be immortalized, end up in the history books, being taught about one day like Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, whoever, Abraham Lincoln and his role to emancipate the slaves and so forth. All of that. They believe that this is the next chapter in that evolution. And boy, could they be any more wrong than they are. Absolutely not. This is a tragedy, a travesty, what we're dealing with here. So listen to the cheers as they hear this host. This is a comedy show, The Daily Show. It's supposed to be funny. Listen to this stuff.
Jim, they're taking to the streets or the parking lots.
Tonight, the FBI and ATF now investigating multiple cases of possible arson targeting Teslas and Cybertrucks.
That is real
This dramatic
applause.
video shows multiple cars in flames. Police say the attacker used Molotov cocktails. It's the latest in more than a dozen instances
Las
of
Vegas,
arson and vandalism
Seattle,
targeting
Chicago.
Tesla.
The same suspect shot more Teslas with a gun. Tesla Cybertrucks were set on fire in Kansas City, and earlier this month, shots fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Cybertrucks on fire in Seattle.
Wow, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism, huh?
Cool.
Jim,
Yeah, so that's the response he had. Wow, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism. I love how he throws in the term petty acts of domestic terror. What's a petty act of domestic terrorism? You know, domestic terrorism, for these self-righteous radical leftists out there, domestic terrorism is actually the exact opposite. It is antithetical to defending our democracy. These folks are so out of their minds. They are cheering for gun crimes. I don't know if you heard those clips. Some of these Teslas were shot. These are the same people that in other, at other times are trying to get you to lose your Second Amendment right. They're in favor of things like assault, quote unquote, assault weapons bans. They hate AR-15s for reasons they have no idea what's any different about an AR-15 and any other semi-automatic rifle and all this stuff, but they're now applauding people who are using guns to commit acts of alleged domestic terrorism. But what's petty about this, Daily Show? What's petty when the behavior that you are engaging in, or that your ilk, those who share your ideology, are engaging in? What is petty when they are trying to overthrow our democracy? And that's what you've been telling us Trump's been doing for years. Domestic terrorism is intimidating someone else with a different political opinion to change their political opinion, or else. I don't know anything that's any more quote-unquote anti-democratic than that. But the leftist mind cannot accept it because it is filled with rage, it is filled with hatred, it is filled with envy, it is filled with strife. It is completely seeing red right now because everything that they have built, everything that they hold dear, is coming crumbling down, thankfully. And I hope it continues to crumble down, not because I want to see leftists in agony, but because I want to see Americans living with liberty. I want to see Americans living freely. I want to see Americans have a government that's not wasting its resources. I want to see a country that's not designed for the political elite, the ruling class, to have the ability to launder money, to get kickbacks, to go to Washington, D.C. with a net worth of X, and then leave Washington, D.C. with a net worth of 100X, or whatever the numbers are, 1,000X in some cases. I don't want to see that. I don't want there to be questions about impropriety. Yes, I understand the nature of humanity. Yes, I understand that there will be people that pursue selfish gain, obviously, through the power that they have achieved and attained and so forth. But I think that the system needs to be, well, we need to shine the light of truth, the light of day on what is going on. People who are behaving this way, or who may be behaving this way, allegedly, need to be held accountable for this stuff. This sort of thing has to stop. You need to keep, I should say, more of what you earn. You need to quit funding some of this nonsense. You need to be able to provide for your family, to take the vacation, to invest in the business, to buy the car, maybe a Tesla. You need to be able to do this. And you haven't been able to do these things because they've been taking from you and taking from you and taking from you, virtuously signaling to the rest of the world that they are taking from you, or taking from the folks who have prosperity, to give to those who do not. When in reality, every single person has the opportunity to improve his or her own lot in life. It's not always easy. There are no guarantees. Sometimes it can be downright terrifying if you've started a business or whatever. But the bottom line is this is not the way to do it. What they've built and the methods by which they have used to empower themselves and to enrich themselves and to get handouts is coming crashing down, and they are willing to do anything in order to prevent more of that from happening. So, I want to talk a little bit more about this. I want to share some examples. I want to talk about some of the cancerous ideas that have gotten us here to begin with, and we're going to do that in due course. I've got to take a break, though, my friends. Sit tight. You are listening to America's home for conservative, not bitter news, commentary, all of that stuff. I am your host, the one and only Todd Huff, the beloved dictator behind the microphone here, my friends. Back in just a minute.
Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform, or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
Hello, it's your favorite president telling Todd Huff listeners about Mega Milk Protein Powder. That's what we're calling it, Mega Milk. It's protein for patriots, okay? American-made MAGA milk destroys dad bods and builds a big, beautiful wall of MAGA muscle on your entire body. So true. Don't buy protein made in China. You'll be a total disaster, a weak loser. Your workouts are winning. Drink MAGA milk. Go to MAGAmuscle.com and put some Trump in your pump. MAGAmuscle.com.
Looking for a knife that's more than just metal? The Rainy Forge handcrafts blades in a real coal forge, the way they were meant to be made. Every knife is meticulously crafted, hair-popping sharp, and built to last a lifetime. From hunting to cooking, we've got a blade for you. Affordable heirloom quality. Visit therainyforgeblacksmith.com and click Buy a Knife to get started. The Rainy Forge, built with tradition, ready for your adventure.
Welcome back, my friends. We're talking here about I would say the absolute moral depravity of the worldview and the basis of the radical left's ideology today, which the radical left has been the Democrat Party has been taken over by the radical left. And I want to talk about this. I want to talk about how we got here, my friends. Before I do that, though, let me tell you a little bit about let's talk about seafood. Seafood that comes straight from the Alaskan waters. Wild-caught Alaskan seafood delivered to you by Kenai Fish. These folks are the real deal, my friends. Their salmon comes from the pristine waters of the Kenai and the Castleoff rivers, sockeye, coho, and king salmon. It's all vacuum sealed. It's shipped to you via next day air to lock in that freshness, that just caught flavor. And it's not just salmon. They've got halibut as well. It's got the mild, sweet flavor. And they've got shellfish like king crab, snow crab, and scallops that will make you feel like you are royalty, like you're eating as a member of the bureaucratic state under Biden. So, Kenai Fish is family-owned, and they care about quality as much as you care about what's on your dinner table. Go to KenaiFish.com today. Kenai, that's how you spell Kenai. Kenai fish.com. Use promo code Todd. You'll save 15% on your order. That's Kenai fish.com. Kenai Fish. You'll taste the difference, and you'll be supporting a company, my friends, that is pushing in the same direction you are. KenaiFish.com. Promo code Todd saves you 15%. All right, so you know that there are these town hall meetings taking place across the country. You know that these Republicans in some places are facing angry crowds. Crowds that I'm candidly skeptical of, meaning, listen, I know that there are certainly people that feel this way, that think that these Republicans are, and feel is the right word. I don't think anybody thinks this, but feel is the right word. But they feel like these Republicans are not opposing Trump. They're enabling a fascist dictator. They haven't stood up to the billionaire Elon Musk and all this stuff. And so there's been some angry people at town halls. In fact, I saw yesterday, I don't know if this is true, but I did see it in the news. I think I saw it on the Bongino report that there was a Republican congressman that limited attendance to his public hall to Republicans. I don't know if that's true, and that's not a good way of handling things, but I will say this. If you're busing in paid people to, which I'm not definitively saying, but is a distinct possibility with who we're dealing with today. Remember, they are witnessing what they worship. And I that's the right word. Worship is to find something ultimately worthy. To the leftist, what is ultimately worthy is the government that's been put into place to punish the wealthy, to advance their morally bankrupt worldviews, ideology, policies, wokeism, and all that stuff. They are watching this unravel. These are people who reject truth. Listen, you can be a Democrat. I will even say you can be a liberal who doesn't have to have sold his or her soul and become a radical, unhinged, godless leftist. These folks hate what is good. They hate, there's just no two ways about this. These are people who want what they don't have, and they want someone else to be forced by the government to pay it. They want to advance ideas that are dangerous. that are deadly in some cases, that are cancerous, ideas about transgenderism, all of this stuff. This is who's in this crowd. You can be a liberal and not have lost your mind like this. You can think the government needs to do more. I think it should do much, much less. But you can be a liberal and think that government needs to be involved more here and there and not have sold out to the morally bankrupt position of the radical left. But that's who's filling these town hall meetings. So we're going to go to Nebraska. This is a Nebraska town called Columbus, Nebraska. Representative Mike Flood is speaking there in this auditorium, it looks like. And I want you to listen to what the crowd is chanting. I want you to listen to what they're chanting. And this right here, this goes to the core of who the left is and why they are so infuriated. Well, it's a part of it, why they're so infuriated and angry. Can you hear that? Tax the rich. Tax the rich. This is Representative Flood. Yeah, he says, you want me to tax the rich? You think that's going to solve this problem? Yeah, that's what they think. So here in this country, we have a $36 trillion with a T, $36 trillion federal debt, and it's growing all the time. Now, I will tell you that what DOGE and Elon Musk and Donald Trump have been doing in Washington, D.C. is creating a new scenario that dramatically cuts, well, it won't cut the deficit, or excuse me, it'll cut the deficit. The deficit is how much in the red we are each year, how short we are from paying everything, how short we are from balancing the annual budget, income and revenue and expenses, how close we are to balancing that breakdown. Cutting the size and scope of government will certainly reduce the deficit. It's still not balanced, and that's one of the things that Thomas Massey was upset about, why he voted against, or why he was against this concept of this continuing resolution, why he faced threats from President Trump to primary him, was because he's been told, I went through this on this program, he said, look, we've been told constantly that we're going to balance the budget, get everything to where what comes in matches what goes out, and we still aren't there. It's closer, it's headed in the right direction. Trump and his team are saying, look, this is a process. Next time we're going to, look more, we're going to move towards balancing this budget, which is good. And I'm willing to accept that while also being incredibly sympathetic and relating to what Thomas Massey's concerns were, because we've been told this for all these years and it never happens. But whatever your take on that, the broader, more important point right now is that you have to make a decision as a voter, as you analyze and you say $36 trillion. Why do we have that? That's a big number, right? That's a huge number. I think the guy's slides here, this representative, I think he has a slide up. It shows it's like $36.4 trillion or $36.2 trillion. Underneath it says that's 100 and I can't read if it says 86 for every single person in America. $186,000, I think, or 106. It's over $100,000 that all of us owe. If they were to say, hey, we got to pay this debt off today, you would get an invoice. Every single person would get an invoice for whatever that's over $100,000. Maybe that says 186. It's just a little bit, I can't read it. Anyway, so you look at that and you say, that doesn't make sense. That's unacceptable. Right now, the number was $36,214,627,714,949. No, I'm not making that number up. And it's dramatically higher now from the time that this video posted, because if you've ever seen the debt clock, these numbers are adding up. I mean, many thousands of dollars a second is added to this debt. So anyway, when you look at that number, you have to ask yourself, what is the contributing factor to this? Is it spending or is it lack of revenue? Now, when you look at the tax code and you look at the top level of income tax that you would pay, we have this system of taxation in this country where you pay whatever it is, 15% on the first X thousand of dollars. This is federal taxes. Then it jumps up to whatever it is, 20%. You pay 20% of taxes on every dollar from $20,001. I'm just picking numbers. It's something similar to this, but not exactly. From $20,001 to $50,000, $40,999, you're paying 20% on those dollars. And it keeps increasing the higher your earnings get to where it ends up into the high 30s. You're paying nearly 40, just south of 40% on the highest levels of income once you achieve hit the top income bracket, the top tier. And so you're basically giving at that point, I know there's deductions and all of this, but just on paper, the tax rate is that out of every $5, you're giving 2 of those to the federal government. And so the people in this crowd say that group needs to pay more. Elon Musk needs to pay more than that, which is interesting because, again, we're talking about income taxes. Some of these wealthy people who own businesses don't take much of an income. They've got their investments. They've got the increase in business revenue, right? The amount that they can take out of the business as an owner, right? There's a lot of problems with this, but the bottom line is for us to put a dent into this number, $36 trillion. $36 trillion is a lot of money. You could take every, I'm not arguing for this. I looked at the clock. I got to take a break. But you look at this and you could realize, hey, you could take every dollar from every billionaire, and if we don't change our spending, we're going to be back in this position in a very short period of time. So I have to take a break long in this segment. Quick time out, my friends. Back here in just a minute.
Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
Take the guesswork out of gourmet. Playhouse Spices gives you a leg-up weapon in the kitchen. Playhouse Spices elevates your cooking with gourmet, handcrafted blends made with clean, healthy ingredients. Explore exciting flavors and become a masterful home chef. Visit PlayhouseSpices.com and use code TODD for 20% off your first order over $50. Playhouse Spices. Seek, explore, taste. That's PlayhouseSpices.com.
Shooters, hunters, and outdoor enthusiasts, Emax Tactical has you covered. We offer specialty, exotic, and vintage ammunition you won't find anywhere else. Plus, field medical kits and civilian legal training. Emax Tactical is passionate about helping customers find exactly what they need. 90% of orders go out the same day. Visit Emax Tactical online and use code TODD for 10% off your first order. Visit us at emaxtactical.com. EMACStactical.com.
Welcome back, my friends. Just talking about some of the things that are wrong, the core problems that are wrong with the radical left's ideology. It's why they're so infuriated. They want, but they cannot have. They are full of greed. They are full of envy. They want to tax the rich. But yet, even taxing the rich, even establishing a wealth tax and taking a percentage of just the overall net worth of these individuals would not fix our problem. Anyone who has a third grade education in math could tell you that we have a spending problem. We have a spending problem. We do not have a tax revenue problem. We have a spending problem. And so that's what has to be addressed, is the spending problem. Meanwhile, they're out there cheering and chanting for the millionaires and billionaires, the rich, as they say, to pay more taxes. And what do they want them to pay more taxes for? Are they taxes to do the government's complete the government's responsibilities, fulfill the government's responsibilities as outlined in the Constitution, the national defense and so forth, Department of Justice, so that we have people who are facing justice and not hiding behind their political connections, not using those political connections to enrich themselves? No. They don't want anything to do with that. They want more handouts. They want more freebies. They want a free ride. They want the wealthy to pay for what they want to do in their life. And in what universe, my friends, is that? Does that make sense? In what universe where free people exist, does a wealthy person have an obligation to pay for something a quote-unquote non-wealthy person wants to do? And by the way, if we want to look at true wealth, we want to look at wealth comparatively around the world, the American people, and listen, I know you might be on tough financial times. I'm not trying to say anything. I'm not trying to minimize your situation. But what I'm saying is, it's true. First of all, if you look at the current situation of wealth, where wealth is concentrated around the world today, it's concentrated in places like the United States of America. You can be poor, and I'm not minimizing that. I know that comes with challenges, and those are real problems and real issues. I'm not criticizing number one. I've been in those conditions as I've in my life, and I understand that it can be difficult. But if we want to look at true wealth as it exists around the world, the vast majority, almost all Americans have more wealth. When you look around, we would be the wealthy ones around the globe, no matter what our levels of income or whatever is today. I mean, there's some places that just make pennies or, dollars a day. And so if we're going to be consistent here, should we then be forced by some other larger government body to pay for things that other people need around the world? See, that's not the way that freedom works. Freedom does not require someone else to do something for us. Freedom doesn't do that. Now, people can choose to do that. There's a lot of benevolent people around the world, people who are charitable, people who give money to organizations that do good work. And that's certainly an avenue. Churches have done this historically. Churches have done wonderful things in the name of Jesus Christ in this country and around the world. But we don't have an entitlement. I don't have an entitlement to someone else's money to then demand that they give it to me to pay for something. There is something really wrong with the human heart that believes that. In fact, if you don't believe that, if you have children or if you have relatives and you have a little bit of money, think about how you feel when, you get invited to the wedding and they expect you to give a larger amount to them as a wedding gift or as a graduation gift or whatever. There's an expectation. How does that feel? Do you feel like that's your responsibility, your prerogative? I mean, you have the right to give whatever you want or not whatever you want. It's the same thing on a larger scale. It's amazing to me how people lose common sense. They think something magical happens. The way that life works on a personal or a small group level, suddenly none of those rules apply. The rules of economics go out the window for the left because there's something magical that they think happens because the federal government is doing it. No, my friends, we've got to operate with the same logic and sense at all levels. In fact, if you can't manage your own personal budget in a certain way, probably is not a good idea to manage the federal budget that way. But we're dealing with the condition of the heart. People want what they don't have. They are angered by it. They've watched as their beloved government is, being decimated in the sense of it's being deconstructed by President Trump, by Elon Musk, by DOGE. They've also seen what comes along with that are all the handouts, the entitlements, this mentality that says I have a right to take from someone else's earnings and wealth and then use it as I see fit for my life because a group of people in Washington, D.C. say that I can do it. I remember Walter Williams. He used to fill in for Rush Limbaugh. He used to talk about that a lot. He said taxation is theft. You can't get a bunch of people together who then elect people who go to Washington, D.C. and who, put their hand in someone's pocket and take their money out of their wallet and somehow say that, oh, suddenly that's okay to do because a bunch of people that I elected in Washington, D.C. said that it was okay. Anyway, my friends, the radical left is in a mess. We are too as America because of them, but I got to go. SDG.
Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
At FurnitureMadeInUSA.com, we provide beautiful chairs, rockers, stools, and tables handcrafted by skilled American artisans in North Carolina since 1924. With every purchase, you're supporting American businesses, American workers, and their families. Don't just buy furniture, invest in a piece of American history. Shop now at FurnitureMadeInUSA.com.